Welcome back to the NerdyJock podcast. We've been on a bit of a hiatus, but we have a lot to talk about, both with Daima, with Dragon Ball in general, with Super, the future of the franchise. You know,
where are we going from here, Dan?
Where are we going from here? As Richard Patrick, singer of new metal band Filter, are they new metal? I don't know, but you know, where do we go from here?
Where do we go?
We've got a lot to talk about. It's, you know, Dragon Ball Daima, when we began this journey, we didn't know that this might be the end of an era. An end of Dragon Ball as we know it, because right now...
Would you even say maybe it's the end of a Daima-sty?
Oh, man.
Oh, dad jokes.
You were sitting on that. It's a Sunday morning as we record.
Sunday morning, hey, cheers, guys.
Yeah.
We're starting mimosas. We're here to have a great time with a great podcast with hopefully people that want to listen to what we're talking about here in the Dragon Ball fandom. So get yourself a drink if you're of age. If you're under, just don't tell your parents. Just kidding.
Or if you're driving, you know, obviously don't do anything illegal.
Just listen. Have a good time. But we're having some mimosas, so we're here to have some fun.
But we're in a weird place, I feel, because we covered all of Daima. I think except for the last 3 or 4 episodes.
We didn't really finish the last couple episodes, but it really didn't.
Them. Kevin's a recently engaged man.
Yeah.
It was the holidays. He had to take his fiance on a nice cruise to the Bahamas.
True.
You know, I'm a single dad. I'm raising my kid. You know, so we had to kind of get our ducks in a row a little bit. But Daima, I think that you and I were both. It's not unreasonable to say we were very optimistic about this show. Because unquestionably, even at the end, however you feel about the show as a whole, it is the best animation a Dragon Ball series has ever had, period. Some of the best character designs.
Undoubtedly.
Some of the best action animation. You know,
fantastic.
All around. I mean, it was just really an amazing show. Nakatsuru and team, you guys, round of applause. 100%.
They did a great job.
However,
it's a highs and lows, though, right? The series is a highs and lows for me. Like, it hit the highs, right? Some of the best animation we've ever seen. I
think I already did. Yeah, I think that's all there is to say about the highs.
And then the lows are like, man, I think the episode was 20 episodes long. The series was 20 episodes long, and I think we had maybe, if we're gonna be honest, we're making a one pace kind of cut where we're just gonna go really quick, like a Naruto one pace, even Dragon Ball Kai. If we made a Dragon Ball Daima Kai, like it would be probably 10 episodes, maybe even honestly 8.
And that's just talking about the length.
Yeah.
Because the problem is the problems go beyond the length and the filler and the things like that. I mean, we have, I think, the worst villain in all of Dragon Ball history. Goma, completely useless villain. He looks like Jiren with a clown head on top.
Yeah.
When he goes into his big form, he's just Jiren with a clown head on top. At no point in the series did we have anywhere near the setup that any of the major villains in all of Dragon Ball Z had that told the audience the only information we need to know about the villain, which is here is how they are a threat to our heroes and the world of Dragon Ball as a whole.
I mean, if anything, I think the writers and everyone who's involved in Dragon Ball Daima could say, hey, we're going to throw the audience a curveball by playing Goma as the threat, but not being the overall existential threat to the series.
That's right.
Because immediately, like, okay, this guy's a joke. You know, they kidnap Dende. They don't do anything to Dende. They actually they treat him pretty nicely. I mean, and that was, quick tangent, but the whole point of the Daima was a tangent. The whole series of Daima was a tangent. Everything kind of went to a different place that it wasn't initially supposed to go. We thought we were going to go on a journey. We didn't really go on the full journey. We thought we were going to have some real threats that were very inconsequential.
But the threats modulated because the characters were able to fight Krakens and Tamagami sometimes, but then they were like vulnerable to guns other times.
Exactly. So like even in Dragon Ball Z before Daima, I mean by the Buu saga, when you see Gohan in the, in his superhero phase, he was getting shot at by bullets all day, just going ding, 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 ding. Watch him fall off him like Superman.
Right.
And that was the whole point. So I was like in Dragon Ball Daima, which is not far past Z, but it's right past Z.
I think it's like a few days later.
It's a few days later. I was like, we know they're invulnerable to bullets, okay? Even Demon World bullets, they're probably not going to penetrate the skin.
Even Frieza blasters, which the gendarmerie, it seems like that's kind of what they're working with. Yeah.
And then they became a threat in Daima. So like there's just inconsistencies on power scales, on what is a real threat, what's not, what's going to hurt you or what's not. Like you got to take into account the whole Dragon Ball before we go into Dragon Ball Daima. And I just felt like the whole account wasn't there. We're just like, hey, we're going to tell a new story, tell a story we want to tell. And, we hope you like it. If not, then whatever,
Right. And it's, going back to the point that started this whole tangent, which is about Goma specifically, is Goma.
Thank you for bringing me back.
No. Yeah. I mean, but everything you did, you drew the circle. It's, Goma, we thought, and for those of you who've listened to all of our other thoughts on all the other episodes, if you haven't, they're all on the channel. You can check them out. But we thought because Goma from the beginning just wasn't a good villain.
Not a good villain.
And then we're like, okay, well, Dragon Ball typically does villains pretty well. Or at least it has classically. So we were hypothesizing who is the actual villain. Is it Degasu? Is it Arinsu? Is it Neva? Is it, Glorio? We thought for the longest time that Glorio, because Glorio, we're like, there's no way Glorio is this nothing of a character. Yeah. He has so much screen time, he can't just amount to nothing. And that's the problem. I think Glorio and Goma are the canaries in the coal mine for ultimately what the problems of the show are, is that this show made a lot of promises up front and it didn't deliver on any of them.
I mean, they set up. You're right. They made a lot of promises. They set up a lot of plot. They had, all those Glorio conversations with Arinsu. Where we knew like, okay, they're building to something here. They're going to lay some track, and then hopefully it's going to pay off later. Like literally right now, when you just did that amazing debriefing of why it doesn't work and not finding a true villain, I'm thinking to myself like, well, wait. If instead of Goma, why don't they just have Pilaf, right? Pilaf is established from the first arc of Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Daima is a 40-year anniversary of the whole expanse of Dragon Ball, supposedly, which it really didn't turn out to be. It was more of its own thing moving forward. But let's say, what if Pilaf said, hey, I found a way to get to the demon world, Shu and what's the other person's name?
Mai.
Yeah. Shu and Mai, they go with Pilaf to the demon world. They find the power. He gets powered up because he's been trying to get powered up for decades. I mean, there's a Pilaf saga after the Frieza saga. In the Android saga, there's Pilaf in Dragon Ball. There's Pilaf in Super. He's actually a funny character who has the same kind of gravity and weight that Goma does, but he has more history. Well, why don't we just use Pilaf instead of Goma? Because even if it's not going to work out, at least there's emotions there, there's memories, there's funny moments that connect us together. Because Goma's kind of supposed to be a comical character, right?
He is kind of Pilaf 2.0 in a lot of ways, and also Jiren 1. Or 4.1 because it takes place before
character
Super.
Design, based off character designs,
right? But I think that the problem with that is that classically Pilaf was never a popular villain. Dragon Ball,
I love Pilaf.
I mean, I do too, because it was it was part of my gateway into the franchise. But when Dragon Ball was published initially, obviously the first arc is the Pilaf arc, and Pilaf was so unpopular. That arc was so unpopular. Dragon Ball wasn't doing well. Dragon Ball as a manga didn't really hit until Goku started training with Master Roshi and Krillin and the tournament arc and all that stuff. That's when it really soared into a bestseller. The Pilaf arc almost killed it. So to your point about why didn't they do Pilaf, the problem with that is that we've already seen that with GT. Pilaf is the one who wishes Goku to become a kid in GT. And obviously the Bard, Toriyama.
That's true.
What his modus operandi the last 10 years have been to take the sort of cool elements that other people have done with his IP and kind of do his take on them. We saw it with Super Broly. Obviously, he didn't create Broly initially. One of the character animators or animation directors or I forget who created Broly for the Dragon Ball Z movies. and then Toriyama wanted to do his take. And I think largely, I will say of that Toriyama's take was better. That Brawly had better motivation and he was a more interesting character than just I hate Kakarot because he cried as a baby. Right. But then but then
pretty bad.
But then also it's clear from this show, it confirmed one of the biggest fears of fans was that this is just going to be Toriyama's take on GT.
Yeah.
Which it was. And sadly, despite everything positive that I said about it, GT is a better show than Daima by far.
Yeah. Okay.
GT is a better show. That's my take. But I think that even if you out there disagree with me, I think we could at least be on the same page that GT had an amazing ending. It was amazing. It was emotional. I even say, as controversial as it is, because I don't like GT, that GT's ending, the very, very end of it, was more emotional than the end of Z. Because I low key don't like the end of Z. I don't like the whole oob thing. I
never understood the oob thing.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't like the end of Z. But anyways, that's said.
But okay, so I do need to make a quick amend the addendum right here. Amended addendum. Yeah. Right now, because I did say garlic. I said Pilaf, and it was actually the Garlic Jr. saga right after Frieza saga. So it was not technically the same character, but a very similar type character. Maybe even a stand-in kind of type character, but whatever, for Pilaf. But I mean, I think you're right. And like I'll be real with you guys, man. Like, I still haven't watched GT. Send the hate, bring it on. I don't care.
It's fine.
I think now that I got through Daima and we did a podcast about Daima, DK, it's kind of pisses me off. Now I have a responsibility to watch GT because of Daima. And I have been fighting the good fight for all those hardcore fans, all the fans that people want to hate on in the Marvel universe or the Star Wars universe. I'm that of the Dragon Ball universe, okay? I have been I'm only going to watch Dragon Ball. I want to watch Z. I watch Super, but the GT, that was not a Toriyama thing. And then they made it one now. So now, guess what? I have to go back and watch all of GT because I haven't watched it because I've been fighting the good fight. Are there days when I've opened up Crunchyroll or any other of my apps that have Dragon Ball GT? Not a paid sponsor. Please pay if you want to play.
Crunchyroll for all of your anime needs.
Yeah, for all your anime needs.
Use code NerdyJock at checkout and get 25. I'm just kidding.
But seriously though, like now I've got to freaking go back and watch GT, which honestly I've been trying to avoid it like the plague. Some great character animation, by the way. I do love some of the characters.
Nakatsuru, man, Nakatsuru. He was on Daima. He was on GT. He was the designer of Super Saiyan 4. I think in both.
Yeah.
No. Toriyama did in Daima for sure. Maybe Toriyama even did in GT, but Nakatsuru is like a big person on both of those productions.
Yeah, I'm a Nakatsuru fan. Like, I like his style. So that I'm not gonna be a hater on that. But I'm just saying, like, they're like, hey, this isn't part of our thing. Growing up in the 90s, like, I was like, okay, then I'm not gonna even try to follow it. I'm just gonna stay with the main arc. I don't need to go off storybook here. But
I think you would honestly find it at least like enjoyable now.
I know.
Because it's like, for all of its faults, it has more in common with the things that we were hoping Daima would be, which is a callback to Dragon Ball.
That's tough.
Yeah, than Daima does.
Shoot.
Because Daima ultimately, like, listen.
Yeah, I mean,
Daima ultimately.
This isn't a Dragon Ball GT podcast. No,
it's not. It could be eventually. I mean, we could.
So should we do a GT pod and be like, what the hell?
Well, we have to finish Z. We've talked about possibly doing Dragon Ball, which I would love.
I'm so stoked to do a Dragon Ball pod. Like, just episode
people by
in
arc.
the YouTube channel. Like, type in "do a Dragon Ball podcast now." Get Dan motivated. This guy needs
do you want us to continue with Z? Do you want us to do Garlic Jr.
Yeah,
and
I'm ready to get to the Cell Saga on Z because it's been a while since I watched it. So for me, I've got ulterior motives. Like, personally,
sure,
I want to get that back in the veins. If you're listening, you're not watching. I just did like a in the veins kind of movement, like a drug motion.
Right.
But
we should really, like, there are two things we need to talk about, which is why Daima failed. We're not going to just break down the episodes. We're going to lump it in together.
We're just going to do it all in one.
And what is at stake for the future of Dragon Ball?
That's a big deal.
What will happen? So we'll start with the first one. I mean, like, ultimately, I mentioned that it was a broken promise. The promise was the characters are de-aged. They're going to be depowered. They're going to be put in a situation they don't have the power or the skills to deal with, and they're going to have to find new ways to overcome those challenges. Right. Great premise. That was not what the show was.
Right.
It was not what the story was. Goku went Super Saiyan immediately, fighting Kadan's people, defeated all of Kadan's people, which, you know, you can bitch about the power scaling stuff where Kadan's people end up defeating the gendarmerie, which Goku and Vegeta and Piccolo together can't do. There is the biggest betrayal of all. I should have saved this for last, but because it popped into my head, I'm not going to.
Just go for it. Just let it.
I can't get past it.
Flow stream, brother.
Is the three-way fusion tease. Yeah. It was set up in episode 2 or 3. There is going to be a three-way fusion.
I was stoked for that. Everyone here, anyone who's watching, or anyone's not watching, listening, guys, we all knew it. We saw the fusion bug. We saw the 3 things. We were all like, oh my God, we're going to get a triple fusion. Are we going to get...
It begs the question, why was Piccolo in the demon world at all? Yeah.
Like his world. If the story should have revolved on anyone, it should have actually revolved around Piccolo.
Right.
Yeah, like if we're in the demon world, give those guys some more respect and credit. But I think like Goku and Vegeta are just so OP'd, not even just in strength, but in just character and story, that they're so popular that it has to be about them.
Piccolo didn't need to be there. And that sucks.
But he's one of our favorite characters.
I love Piccolo. He did not need to be in the story. Yeah. He played no significant role. The most interesting characters of Daima were Arinsu, Ku, and Du. That whole little arc. Because it was expectation, betrayal, but like in a fun, interesting way, where Ku ended up being like a super genius, an analytical genius, and Du was super stupid but super strong the way that Boo was in that way. But going back, I mean,
and just to add on that, because we're talking about Du and Ku, like it's kind of frustrating when you see these 2 great characters that don't. Their dialogue, it's pretty minimal, right? They don't have big dialogue, but their characters are set up in such a way that you're gonna fall in love with them immediately. You're gonna enjoy them, and you're like, wow. I was like, Ku is my new favorite character on the series. We talked about this in a previous pod. I was like, I think Majin Ku might be my favorite character in this whole series. And he talks a bit, but it's just his energy, his emotions, his character. He's more of like a friendly companion or a dog.
Well, visually, he was the only character that really went on a big journey because we're setting up Boo 2.0. That was the lead in to that. When it's like, we're going to take a Cyberman, we're going to take the essence of Boo. We see that everybody's watching the Boo footage on like TV in the demon world and stuff like that. And they're talking about the resurrection of Boo. So we're like, okay, we're going to have Boo 2.0 and we're going to have Cyberman 2.0. Mm-hmm. And then he is created and then he ends up being kind of just a silly character, but then he helps overcome Tamagami's riddle challenge. Right. He ends up becoming the demon king of the demon world.
Yes.
So even, I mean, whether or not
we didn't talk about it yet, but like we don't really even need to, it doesn't really matter.
I'm not even saying if that's good or bad. I'm just saying, like, of all the characters, he had the most interesting journey.
Yeah.
Neva was a wasted character. It's I mean, what's his face?
Talk about
Nahari.
Should Dragon Ball Daima just been called Dragon Ball Red Herring? Like, and just like, hey, we're gonna settle like 8 characters that might pose have an interesting story or some kind of important plot detail that really aren't anything. And that's kind of what it is. There's a lot of characters that really didn't matter.
Well, and we don't even know why Daima was made. Was this a story that Toriyama really wanted to tell, or was this a story that he and Toei had to tell by necessity because they couldn't tell a super story?
Exactly.
We'll get back there.
Okay, no. Thank you for actually hitting this, because like 5 minutes ago, I just thought about this. It came to me while we're talking about this podcast, was that essentially I realized that like Daima originally, it was kind of sold. Was it a marketing problem or was it a story problem? Because
or was it a rights problem?
Or a rights problem, because it was marketed as a 40th anniversary collaboration and kind of celebration of Dragon Ball, right?
Sure,
Like
yeah.
that's what the marketing team said to all of the world, all of Japan, all of America, South America, anywhere you watch Dragon Ball, it was sold as a celebration of the 40th anniversary. So we figured, I mean, everyone, we all hypothesized, we're all fans, we're gonna put some things in our own minds and then put it out there. But we thought it was gonna be like, hey, we're gonna touch on some people from Dragon Ball, maybe we'll see that Native American, the Indian guy, and it's maybe just all the old characters, like really.
Is it Upa or,
Upa?
Is that the kid? Yeah, I forget.
Yeah, I don't know. But I thought we were gonna go back and see some characters from the old Dragon Ball. We're gonna connect it to Dragon Ball Z and Super, and then
back when it was called Dragon Ball Magic, right?
Yeah.
When it was still called that.
We thought my initial impressions, and maybe it's my fault for just assuming, but the truth is when they pushed it as like, hey, a 40th celebration of Dragon Ball's entirety, I was like, oh man, this is gonna hit the best of all the worlds. And it really didn't. It seemed to me like they're like, that might have been a marketing push, but the truth is, I think the rights issues and other different situations put it in a situation where we're going to make a different alternative, a new story and push it forward.
So I didn't know about the rights issues. My impression of Dragon Ball Daima when it was still Dragon Ball Magic was that this was Toriyama doing what he did with Super Broly. He was going to take GT. He was going to make his own version of GT that takes place in the demon world. I kind of didn't like that idea because I, like a lot of people, wanted to see the Super manga get animated a little bit more.
I mean, I'm one of them. I love the Super, like where it's at after the Tournament of Power.
Well, I think most fans think that most of the most interesting stuff that happens in the manga has not been animated yet.
It hasn't been.
With Moro and Granola and all that stuff. So, but notwithstanding, I did give a lot of charity and a long runway to the idea of like, okay, well, because I've always thought, as a lifelong Dragon Ball fan, that Dragon Ball has a power scaling problem where people just get so strong. Like once you can blow up a planet with 2 fingers, it's like how much stronger can people kind of get? And I thought that turning them into kids in the right way was a nice right around that problem. It's like, okay, well, now they're not that strong anymore. They can't go Super Saiyan. Goku needs to use Nyoibo again. They can't fly in the demon world because the air is too thick. They're traveling with this companion Pansy who has a collar around her neck, which allows the Nazi demon military, the gendarmerie, to track them at all times and stuff like that. These are interesting writing problems. And Daima's biggest fault, whatever you want to say, is that every problem that was presented was immediately solved.
Right.
Kaioshin / Nahare is able to just take the collar off with a spell that he's never used before, and he's also able to teach anybody how to use this spell. Yep. Neva basically turns Goku into Super Saiyan 4. Yeah. So, it's like no problem there. Here, just holds out his hand.
Unleash the ability.
Goku goes Super Saiyan 4 both as a child, as an adult. Vegeta, even though it's been a few days since Boo, I guess, in those 3 days decided that he was going to do some secret training and become Super Saiyan 3, and only Bulma was going to know about it. It's like the problems and the solutions were just so, it never felt like anybody worked to overcome anything, which ultimately that is what Daima's promise was, is that this is different. They are going to have to overcome this in a different way, which would have been fantastic. But that's not what Daima was. I mean, there's just so much. I'm rewatching it slowly with my son because now it's being released in English Weekly.
I can't even.
And I'm watching it and I'm so frustrated because I'm reminded of all of these promises that if you rewatch the first episodes, and I don't remember every promise off the top of my head, but there was stuff that was set up that just never went anywhere. And
None of it.
Not even talking about just the fusion bug crap. I'm talking about everything.
No, the first 10 episodes were really pretty negligent to the plot. There might have been 1.5 episodes, maybe 2 to 3 total out of the first 10 that were essential to the plot of the series. You're a writer, he's a Hollywood writer, he doesn't like to talk about it, but he's a big deal in the business. He's doing a great job. We're very proud of him. But DK is all about story, all about character. I'm even more simple than that. I need the characters. I need the plot. I'm an actor. I can't follow crap, but at the same time, I don't even need that to pop. I just need hey man, give me some cool fights. Give me some great action, and then I'll forgive it. Give me some John Wick stuff. I'll be all right.
It's like music. Even a kid just by interacting
Give me
with
the
it,
beats. Give me the beats.
we'll know if it's good or not.
Well, true. Yeah.
I knew when I was 6 years old that Terminator 2 was the best movie I had ever seen. Ever seen. And I didn't know what they were talking about half the time, but you just know watching it. My son is 5 years old and he knows that Daima sucks. We've switched to Dragon Ball.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
guys, is this blasphemy on this channel? Are we?
He's kind of
Is this
he's over
bad
it.
to say this?
He tells me it's boring. Like we switched to Dragon Ball and we are already knee deep in Red Ribbon Army, and it's been a month.
Awesome though. Awesome.
I mean, God, that first the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai arc.
Let's do Dragon Ball.
Yeah. He loved it.
Shenron voice.
Yeah, that was good. That was like Ocean Shenron.
Yeah, Ocean Shenron.
Yeah, totally. Not like the pitch down Funimation.
Yeah.
It's like, I am Shenron.
Let's do Dragon Ball Pod.
Yeah, that is the Ocean Shenron. Yeah.
If you're listening, then I'm so sorry. If you're watching, you picked the right outlet.
No, like he loves Dragon Ball, but he is so over Daima. And it's funny too. I have a friend. We've been friends since I was in high school. He's got 2 kids who are 7 and 9 respectfully, and they are huge One Piece fans.
Right.
And he, once they got caught up to One Piece, they had nothing to binge anymore. So he showed them all of Dragon Ball, all of Dragon Ball Z, and all of Dragon Ball Super. And these kids were hooked start to finish.
Oh,
they jumped.
We have a convert.
These kids, because there was another excuse that Kevin and I made for Daima. It's like, maybe this show's just for kids because kids don't know about Dragon Ball. The characters get turned into kids, but no, kids know when a story is bad because these kids who are 7 and 9 abandoned Daima, I think 8 episodes before the end. They're just like, they're like, nothing is happening in the show. Nobody is interesting. And it's like, that's a 7 and 9-year-old. That's a problem. Toei, that is your demo. That is who Daima was for.
Yes.
Ultimately. And it
couldn't even reach it. I mean, like, that's...
Yeah.
That's
heartbreaking because it's the last thing that Toriyama ever wrote.
I know. That's where it hurts the most. But
yeah.
I'm all right. You know what? Let's just switch it up a little bit because I think you guys get the point.
You get the point. It's not a good show.
It's not what we want.
It was disappointing.
And I'm gonna take a quick check the camera at 28 minutes real quick here. So we'll take a quick break just to check. And because we do need to talk about like the last episode of him going adult 4.
And we need to talk about the rights. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the rights. And this is great though. This is actually going great.
Okay. No, super smooth. I feel like I'm more natural on the left side than I am on the right. I'm like, oh,
maybe so. Yeah.
All right. You do have a dominant side, so.
Yeah, my right is more dominant than my left.
So all we'll do,
edit that out. No. Okay.
So all we'll do, like, we'll just talk about is the final episodes, and we'll just say from everybody becoming an adult again, Glorio's betrayal of Arinsu,
right?
Like whatever, all that dialogue, this is why I taught you Namekian. Purunga was a letdown. It was just Red Purunga. It wasn't like an interesting dragon at all.
They could even add like a different like horn swirl. Or like maybe like some kind of different,
just something different,
something different to be like, oh, this is a Demon World Dragon Ball. Even GT got the Super Shenron, which is different, you know.
You got the red Shenron. Yeah. It got the cigar. Smoking Shenron.
You got in GT. I mean, I haven't seen it, but I know you get like a shit ton of
different Shenrons. Yeah.
You get a lot of Shenrons. You can't give me in Daima one Demon World Shenron. Maybe the craziest thing. Maybe the planet turns into like Shenron. And it's like, that's where the Dragon Balls are from. Like, just give me something creative and fun and introduce it to me. And like, I'll be like, you know what? If it's interesting, if it's unique, I'll probably accept it and be like, I'm down. But I think, I think we're just like kind of throwing darts, like 5 darts in a row, say, hey, what's hitting, what's not. We'll just write from there.
But tell us, like, I've talked a bit now, but tell us about just kind of the last few beats of the show.
I mean,
they become adults. Obviously, Super Saiyan 4.
Well, okay, so this is like, here's my biggest question to you, DK. Which like, let me talk for a minute because this guy's been going off for 20 minutes. But it's like, it's been a while since I watched the last episode. You know, we've been on a hiatus for a month and a half because we've been busy as hell. But all I remember is when Goku goes Super Saiyan 4 in Chibi form, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, that's cool. But like, it's not nearly as impactful. And we want to see, just like when we saw Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta go Super Saiyan Vegeta in adult form, that was cool. That was different, right? But once we saw after that Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Chibi form go to Super Saiyan 4 adult form, it didn't have the same impact because we just saw Vegeta do the same thing with Super Saiyan 3 Chibi form, Super Saiyan 3 adult form. So it was like kind of like, hey, we're just gonna redo the same thing, extend it from Vegeta to Goku, because Goku's always one level power above Vegeta. And like for me, I'm like, okay, I saw it. I was like, okay, number one, I have to grasp with the fact that I now have to watch GT thanks to you guys, whoever made this. Now I have to watch GT because I'm like, okay, it's now a part of Dragon Ball canon forever. We've
questionably
we have crossed the streams, guys.
Asterisk. We will come back to whether or not this actually is canon. And what the point of it is, because like it does raise issues that Vegeta can go Super Saiyan 3 before Super, Goku can go Super Saiyan 4 before Super, but neither of them can do that in Super.
But that's the whole point. It's like, I think they're saying, hey man, we don't know if Super is going to be part of the legal rights canon, which we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah,
but it's going to go. That's the whole point.
That's the big story.
I think we can't even really talk about that until we get into the rights issue.
I think so. We can circle back to Super Saiyan 4
and we're
and
gonna
3,
keep it short, guys. We're gonna do this in like it's 31:52 on our timer. We're gonna go to like we're gonna give it 5 minutes max. We're talking about the rights issues and why this Dragon Ball Daima has been such a problem.
We'll do our best, but we'll see what mimosas have to say about it.
Mimosas all day.
So even before Toriyama died, there was some, shall we say, shenanigans with the copyright, with who owns what. Because like at the base level, Shueisha, who owns Jump, owns the manga. Toei owns the rights to the animation. Obviously, the full IP rights go to Toriyama. And then there are people at the various organizations that were like the leads of his IP therein. At Shueisha for V-Jump, there was this guy, I think it was Ioku, who he didn't own the rights, but he was like kind of Toriyama's champion. And Toriyama wanted him to be the champion. And he pissed off Shueisha because the Japanese are very collaborative. They don't like it when people kind of go over everyone's heads. But he spearheaded the Sandland movie, which if you don't know, Sandland is one of Toriyama's last mangas.
Things.
Yeah, it was.
Check it out on Hulu. If you haven't seen it yet, it's on Hulu. So check out the series.
It's pretty interesting.
Hulu,
It has more in common with Dragon Ball, I think, than Daima does for sure.
Imagine Tank Girl plus Dragon Ball.
It's a good comparison. Yeah, that's where the Venn diagram is.
Yeah, that's kind of where it meets in the middle.
So Shueisha and Ioku have tension because Ioku's getting a little uppity for Shueisha's liking. So he just goes and forms Capsule Corp, which is independent. I don't know. They have some rights to Dragon Ball, and Toriyama's supportive of the thing. Toriyama unexpectedly dies.
Yeah,
and we're in the midst at this point where there was like this three-way tug of war over the rights. It's like Shueisha owns the rights to the manga, but then there's a question of whether the IP rights get passed to Ioku, who is Toriyama's natural successor of the rights.
Who he wanted him to do it, but it wasn't explicit in writing in contract form.
Because no one, not even Toriyama himself, thought he was going to die.
Like we knew they knew he had health issues, but they weren't at that point yet to like, hey, we need to make sure we have a plot or a point going forward, like a lineage going forward.
And so because of that,
it's like, and it's a huge IP. It's one of the biggest IPs in the world. So it's like, what do you do?
Ioku does not own the rights to Super. Shueisha does. But if the estate, if the Toriyama estate, which is another player in this, deems that Ioku owns the rights, then it creates a question of, well, what does that mean for Super? Because I don't think Ioku and Shueisha are getting along.
Right.
I think there's a question of now, like, moving forward, what is the future of Dragon Ball? And it's possible that anticipating that power vacuum that Toriyama and Toei made Daima because it was the most virginal thing they could do. Because
it gives them the rights to do whatever they want to do from this point forward.
Because Toei owned GT.
Yes.
Because it wasn't a Shueisha thing. Toriyama had nothing to do with that other than some character designs. And so Toei owned that, so they could take all of the IP from GT and repurpose it into a new show, Daima, that Toriyama writes himself. I mean, he writes the scenario, as they call it, but I think there was a different script writer for the whole show. I forget. It's been a while, guys. So,
but I mean, at least let me know you did a fantastic job, DK. And at least at this point, from what we're saying, hopefully you're following us. But basically, like, Daima puts the rights back into the Toriyama family. I'm doing air quotes here if you're just listening. Air quotes. Toriyama family / what was it?
Well, there's a perfect schism.
Schism. Okay.
Toei and Toriyama estate own Daima, I think.
Exactly. That's
Shueisha owns the manga, and Toei owns the rights to make it an anime.
Right.
However, if Iyoku owns the rights to Dragon Ball, or like then if he does it, then it creates a thing. Will Shueisha allow him to take it and give it to Toei and animate Super? Exactly.
So that's not like everyone's like, why is Super not being animated? Like, it's a great show. Are they? We had hypothesized like a year or two ago about like, okay, maybe they're just doing the One Piece where they're just gonna they need to have the talent to make sure every episode is worthy of the animation, because super early animation had some very big problems, and now we're saying huge problems. And then but the Tournament of Power, actually they did a great job. They steadied the ship as they would in One Piece, not the Harper in One Piece, but
the Tournament of Power fixed a lot of the animation
fixed a lot of the not just animation, but a lot of the story problems. And like, hey, what are we doing here?
Right.
You know, like, are we making a show? Are we just gonna do like our greatest hits, of Super? Like, add in a different kind of Goku, add in this kind of character here. No, are we gonna move forward and make a new kind of show, which is what Super has now become after Tournament of Power, with the Granola, the Moro arcs, the superhero arc? Like, they're moving forward and they're doing it in a great way. And I think there is a transitional period. But the question is like,
which is canon?
Which is canon, and can they even do it now? Because they might not. So Daima might be the new onboarding for the Toriyama side for the future of Dragon Ball. And like, there
is a scenario where if the estate anoints Iyoku and Capsule Corp the shepherds of the Dragon Ball IP, that Super is never animated, and that Iyoku and a team of other people will continue to make new canon that jumps off of where Daima left ended off. Yeah. So, which could repurpose things from Super. It could, who knows? Or if they say, no, Shueisha owns the rights, then
Daima's done.
Then Yoku's kind of screwed. Capsule Corp is kind of screwed. Daima's already done, but it won't continue. And maybe Super gets animated further. And there's always the possibility. There's always the scenario where
this is all speculation at this point.
Yeah, where everybody just comes together and it's like, you know what? Let's just do what's best for the IP.
Right, let's get you a cut. Let's get you a cut. Let's give the fans the biggest cut by giving them what they want to see their guys in action again.
Right. But we don't know. So the answer to the question is Daima canon. The answer is yes, but it is canon.
Therefore,
but Super is also canon, even if those two things don't coalesce. Yeah. And I don't think it's a sequential canon. I don't think it's like Daima happens and then Super happens. There's just no way.
It's like a wiggly line. It's like this kind of wiggle line in the middle. Like,
there's no way that Vegeta would not become Ultra Vegeta 1 in Super if he had that ability.
There's a little bit of Marvel's what if in here as well. There's a little bit of that kind of mixed in here in the middle. So, you got your Dragon Ball Z, you got your Super, you got your Daima, and there's a little bit of squiggly lines in the middle. Like, you know what? Like, this is all fungible and we can fix it later, but we're trying to make this work the best we can.
And in the meantime, Toyotaro is still
he's crushing it, by the way. Toyotaro, all the love and respect to Toyotaro. He's doing a fantastic job. The latest cover, if you guys saw, actually we'll post on the green screen here. It's amazing. It has all of the top heroes in their top forms right now, about to go against Black Frieza in the next version of the next volume of the manga. So let's go. Let's go.
And also all the love to all of the artists and amazing staff at Toei, because for all of the story problems with Daima, you guys made something truly beautiful.
Right.
Like unforgettably beautiful. I mean, little kid Super Saiyan 4 Goku versus Goma, some of that animation, some of those battles, when the Tamagamis and Vegeta and Goku and everybody teamed up against Goma, just every part of the way that was rendered visually was masterful.
Okay. Now, I'm totally interrupting you, but to say, hey, okay, let's just do it. Like, we're gonna end on a positive note because it has been a rant-filled 40 minutes here. But we're gonna tell you this: what, like, on a positive note, what's your favorite Daima moment? Favorite Daima moment? If you can think off the top of your head, just like throw the first one out there that catches your mind, and I'll tell you mine.
Favorite Daima moment was, I think, Goku versus Tamagami 3.
Okay.
I thought that was beautiful. It would have been better. It could have been better if he struggled to go Super Saiyan, if he hadn't done it against Kadan's men before and stuff. But just that moment was really where the power of Daima's animation team was first fully unleashed. I feel it has one of my favorite Kamehamehas ever.
That was beautiful.
Godzilla atomic beam that just cuts along the ground into the mountain and is just trapping him there. That was a beautiful moment. I loved that. I loved, and then just in general, like the designs. I can't say enough. Goku with the huge forearms in Super Saiyan 4 that are kind of hairless and very ape-like. You know, it was just, there was a lot.
Ape-like,
There. I mean, Vegeta turning Super Saiyan 2 in the mouth of the Kraken when it's dark, and then it's just the zaps come, and you just see the flashes of him. Everything that I have is like all just based on the animators. The animators are the heroes of this show.
I mean, if I had to give a moment, I would say when, like, you're like, hey, what do you remember? And it's not even Goku going Super Saiyan 4 in the last episode or the last 2 episodes before. Like, that was a cool moment. But for me, I think it was probably Vegeta going Super Saiyan 3.
Really?
Like, parting the sea on the second versus Tamagami number 2. I was like, dude, you know what? This is a great episode, a great moment, a great place to be. You get the goosebumps, you feel the chills, and you realize, okay, this is why I love Dragon Ball. And like, for me, that kind of hit. So like, as much as we're just frustrated because we love this so much that we've been complaining a lot, but like, there is a ton of great things to love in Daima, and we're going to be ever grateful for it. But
if it was any other anime, I think we would have dropped it at episode 6.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
we're glad we got through it.
For all of its faults, Daima is still part of Dragon Ball. And you know what? I don't think Dragon Ball survived GT. I think Dragon Ball, hopefully, fingers crossed, will survive Daima.
Yeah.
It's not going to go the way of the Star Wars IP, which I'm not making any comment about that, but the fans have kind of turned on that big time. I don't think fans are going to turn on Dragon Ball, is what I'm saying.
And hopefully this is not the end of a dynasty with Dragon Ball.
And on that beautiful note, listen, guys, like and subscribe. Thank you so much for coming back. We're going to be making more things. We're covering Solo Leveling Season 2.
We're about to do a tier ranking here, so just stay tuned.
Shinichiro Watanabe's new show, Lazarus. We're going to be doing a lot. There's going to be a lot more from the NerdyJock.
I know we've been absent, but like, we're here. We love you. We didn't forget about you. Our lives are just pretty complex right now.
They're pretty complex. Hopefully things are gonna smooth out.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm just gonna some inside baseball. This guy works like 7 days a week. Part of the problem is we just haven't been able to get together because this guy's like just crushing it. He's a nonstop work machine.
I work. I'm auditioning.
He auditions.
I'm doing TV shows. I'm doing commercials. I've been pretty busy right now, man.
And I can't say what. I
have a fiance. You can't. Your fiancés need. Hey, girlfriends, boyfriends, you guys need the time and attention you deserve. And that's why, like, when I'm not here, like, I got to give the attention that's necessary for my relationship as well, too.
Sure.
We can't let that hate.
And I can't talk about it too much, but a script that I wrote is currently in production. So.
Can't talk about it, but awesome.
So
congratulations, brother. We're so proud of you.
Yeah, thank you.
We can't wait we can't talk about it now, but we're excited to
we'll talk about it later. Yeah.
We will.
We'll talk about it later.
Fingers crossed. We got a lot of good things coming. Stay tuned because this is gonna be the first one out, but we have like what we've been watching podcast coming. We got a little bit of Lazarus in there as well. And we got the solo leveling tier ranking episode coming to you guys in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
And guys,
if less.
In the next couple of months, Dan to Dan returns.
Dan. And by the way,
be covering that for sure.
And check out our next episode, what we've been watching, because I am caught up on the manga. I've read all volume 12 that's released in America.
Is it over or is it
No,
ongoing?
Oh my God. This is the craziest thing. You know what? That's another podcast.
Stay
tuned. We'll talk to you later. We love you and see you next time.
Makanko Sapo.
That was the worst one ever.
Yeah,
That was like, hey.
Makanko.
That was like Sailor Jupiter or whatever, like doing a sailor salute.
Just cut before that. Cut before it gets weird.
We need to leave it. We need to leave it there.
Oh,
like,
God.
oh no, yeah, that's in there. Okay,
all right.
love you guys. Talk to you later.
Bye.